Naomi Williams had exactly 12 seconds before she realized the leather interior smelled wrong. Too expensive, too clean. And the man in the driver's seat, turning to look at her with eyes like black ice, definitely wasn't her Uber driver. "Wrong car," she whispered. His hand was already on something under his jacket. "Don't move." The door locks clicked, all four at once. The sound of a cage closing. Naomi's heart slammed against her ribs as Chicago's south side blurred past the tinted windows. She'd been running late, soaked from the rain, her phone dying at 3%, and when a black Mercedes pulled up outside Mercy Hospital, where she'd just finished a 16-hour shift as a pediatric nurse, she'd jumped in without checking the license plate. Her scrubs were still damp, her badge still hung around her neck, and she'd just made the worst mistake of her life. "Listen," her voice shook, but she forced the words out anyway. "I'm a nurse. I just got off work. I thought you were my Uber. This is a mistake. Just let me out at the next light and I'll forget this ever happened." The man didn't respond. He was Korean, maybe early 30s, with the kind of face that belonged in luxury ads except for the scar cutting through his left eyebrow. His suit probably cost more than her nursing school debt. His watch caught the streetlights, platinum and cold. He drove with one hand, the other still resting near whatever weapon he'd been reaching for. "Please," Naomi tried again. "I have a daughter. She's 6. She's at home with my mom right now, waiting for me. Her name is Zoe. I just need to get home." Something flickered across his face. Not sympathy, something harder to name. He pulled out his phone, never taking his eyes off the road, and said something in rapid Korean. The language was harsh, clipped, and clearly an order. When he ended the call, he finally spoke to her in English, his accent thick but precise. "You entered the vehicle of Kang Min-jun. This vehicle is not Uber. This vehicle is private transport for very dangerous man." He glanced at her in the rearview mirror, his expression unreadable. "You understand dangerous?" "Yes, I understand. That's why I need you to let me go." "Cannot." "What do you mean you can't?" "You saw me. You saw a car. You know the location of pickup." His jaw tightened. "In my world, this is a security risk. Security risks are eliminated." The word eliminated hit her like a fist. Naomi's medical training kicked in automatically, her mind cataloging her racing pulse, her shallow breathing, the adrenaline dumping into her bloodstream. She was going into shock. She needed to stay calm. She needed to think. "Welcome. You're about to hear a story that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Subscribe now because non-subscribers only get the watered-down version. Don't be left out. Let's go." "I'm not a security risk," Naomi said, forcing strength into her voice. "I'm a nurse who made a stupid mistake because I was exhausted and wet and not paying attention. I don't know who Kang Min-jun is. I don't know what you do. I don't want to know. Just let me go home to my daughter. Boss decides, not me. Then take me to your boss." The driver's eyes met hers in the mirror, surprised. "You want to meet the boss?" "I want to go home. But if the only way to do that is to convince your boss I'm not a threat, then yes, take me to him." For the first time, something almost like respect crossed the driver's features. "You are brave or foolish. I'm a black woman from Chicago who raised a kid alone while working my way through nursing school. I've survived worse than this." She hoped that was true. She prayed it was true. They drove for another 20 minutes, leaving the city behind, turning onto darker roads where houses spread further apart and security gates started appearing. Naomi tried to memorize the route, tried to note landmarks, but exhaustion and fear were making her dizzy. Finally, they pulled up to a mansion, not just a big house, an actual mansion with stone walls and iron gates, and the kind of security system that suggested whoever lived here had enemies worth keeping out, or keeping in. The driver parked in a circular driveway, then turned to face her fully for the first time. "I take you inside. You speak only when spoken to. You do not lie. The boss knows when people lie, and you do not touch anything, understand?" Naomi nodded. He opened her door. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with it, heavy and cold. 2 more men in black suits appeared from somewhere, flanking them as they walked toward the entrance. Naomi's sneakers squeaked against the marble steps. She was wearing cartoon character scrubs with teddy bears on them. She looked ridiculous. She looked harmless. She hoped that would keep her alive. The inside of the mansion was all dark wood and expensive art, and the kind of silence that money buys. The driver led her through a hallway, past rooms she couldn't quite see into, until they reached a set of double doors. He knocked once. A voice answered in Korean. Low, commanding, the kind of voice that didn't ask twice. The doors opened, and Naomi's breath caught because the man sitting behind the massive desk, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking grounds that stretched into darkness, was the most terrifyingly beautiful person she'd ever seen. Mid-30s, Korean, with features so sharp they could cut glass, and eyes that assessed her with the cold efficiency of someone deciding whether she was worth keeping alive. "You brought her," he said in perfect English, not to Naomi, to the driver. "Yes, boss. She entered the car outside the hospital. Claims mistake." "It was a mistake," Naomi interrupted. Both men looked at her like she'd just spoken out of turn in church. "I thought the car was my Uber. I wasn't paying attention. I just finished a 16-hour shift, and I was tired and wet, and my phone was dying, and I made a stupid mistake. That's all this is. If you're hooked, drop a comment saying hooked. Only the boring won't. Let's continue." The man behind the desk, Kang Min-jun, apparently, stood slowly. He was tall, easily 6'2", built like someone who didn't just sit behind desks giving orders. He moved around the furniture with predatory grace, closing the distance between them until he was close enough that Naomi could see the exact moment he decided whether she lived or died. "Your name," he said quietly. "Naomi Williams." "You're a nurse?" "Yes." "At Mercy Hospital?" "Yes." Her badge was still visible. He could probably read her name, her credentials, everything. "You have a daughter." Naomi's stomach dropped. "How do you—" "I know everything about everyone who enters my world, Naomi Williams." His voice was soft, dangerous. "I know you live at 847 South Harper. I know your daughter Zoe attends Bradwell Elementary. I know your mother Diane moved in with you 3 years ago after your father died. I know you work night shifts because the differential pay helps cover Zoe's asthma medication." He tilted his head. "And I know you're telling the truth about the mistake." The relief was so sudden that Naomi's knees nearly buckled. "Then you'll let me go?" "No." The word was simple, final, terrifying. "What do you mean, no?" "You just said you know I'm telling the truth." "I believe you made a mistake, but the mistake has consequences." Kang Min-jun walked back to his desk, poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter, didn't offer her one. "You saw my driver. You saw this location. You can identify my vehicle, my security, my home." He took a slow sip. "In my business, that kind of information gets people killed." "I won't tell anyone, I swear. I'll forget everything. I'll pretend this never happened." "Everyone says that." His eyes were cold again, empty. "Most of them are lying. The ones who aren't lie eventually. When police pressure them, when rivals threaten their families, when money talks." He set the glass down with a soft click. "I don't build empires by trusting people who stumble into my life by accident." Naomi's mind raced. She'd talked down violent patients in the ER, convinced suicidal teenagers to hold on one more day, and negotiated with insurance companies who valued profit over children's lives. She knew how to read people, how to find leverage. "You know everything about me," she said slowly. "You know where I live, where my daughter goes to school, where my mother shops for groceries. You have all the leverage you need to keep me quiet. Killing me doesn't eliminate risk, it creates it. My mother will report me missing. The police will investigate. My co-workers will remember I took an Uber home. They'll look for the driver." She stepped closer, ignoring the way his security tensed. "But if you let me go, I stay silent because staying silent keeps my family safe. That's better insurance than violence." Kang Min-jun studied her for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he smiled. It didn't reach his eyes, but it softened something in his face. "You negotiate well for someone terrified." "I'm a single mother in America. Negotiation is survival. Sit." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. Naomi sat because standing felt like defiance, and defiance felt like suicide. He settled back into his own chair, steepling his fingers like a villain from a movie, except this was real. This was happening. "I run the largest Korean organized crime syndicate in the Midwest. Drug distribution, weapons trafficking, money laundering, and gambling operations. Politicians take my money. Police look the other way. Enemies disappear." His voice was matter-of-fact, like he was describing a regular business. "3 days ago, someone tried to kill me. They failed. But they got close enough that I'm restructuring my security, being more careful, more paranoid. And I walked right past your security into your car." "Yes. So this is about embarrassment. Your driver made a mistake and you're punishing me for it." The driver behind her made a sound like a protest, but Kang Min-jun held up one hand, silencing him. "My driver did not make a mistake. You matched the description of someone else, someone I was expecting." His eyes narrowed. "Which means someone gave my enemies detailed information about my schedule, my routes, my contacts. Someone inside my organization is a traitor." The pieces clicked together in Naomi's exhausted brain. "And you think I'm connected to them?" "I thought that for approximately 30 seconds. Then I saw your terror, your desperation to get home to your daughter, your genuine confusion." He leaned forward. "But now I have a different problem. You're a witness to my security failure, and more importantly, you're proof that my inner circle has been compromised." "I don't understand what that has to do with me." "It means I can't let you go, not yet." His tone shifted, became almost gentle. It was worse than the coldness. "You'll stay here, as my guest, under guard, until I find the traitor and eliminate the threat. Subscribe now if you want to see what happens next. Only people who don't appreciate good stories won't hit that button. Let's continue." "For how long?" "Days, maybe weeks. I have a daughter." Naomi's voice cracked. "I can't just disappear for weeks. She needs me. She has asthma attacks at night sometimes. My mother doesn't always hear her. I need to be there." Something flickered across Kang Min-jun's face again. That same hard-to-name emotion from before. "Your daughter will be cared for. I'll have someone watch your apartment discreetly. If she has a medical emergency, my people will ensure she gets help." He stood, walking to the window, his back to her. "I'm not a monster, Naomi Williams. I don't hurt children. I don't punish innocent people unnecessarily. But I also don't take risks with my life or my organization. This is kidnapping." Yes, the casual admission was somehow more terrifying than if he'd denied it. Naomi's hands clenched in her lap. She thought about Zoe waiting up for her, probably in her butterfly pajamas, probably clutching her inhaler just in case. She thought about her mother pacing the kitchen, checking her phone, growing worried when Naomi didn't answer. "Can I at least call them? Tell them I'm okay?" "No." Kang Min-jun turned back to face her. "No contact, no calls, no messages. You disappeared into the rain tonight. That's the story. And when I'm satisfied you're not a threat and my internal problem is resolved, you'll reappear with a story about being in a minor accident, losing your phone and staying with a friend, whatever you choose to tell them. And if I refuse to cooperate? His expression went cold again, empty as winter. Then your cooperation becomes irrelevant and I make decisions based purely on risk management. You're smart enough to know what that means. She was. God help her, she was. I need to change, she said quietly, looking down at her damp scrubs. I need clothes, necessities, and I need to know my daughter is really okay, not just your word, proof. Kang Min-jun considered this, then nodded to the driver. Jung-ho, take her to the East Wing, guest room, have someone bring appropriate clothing and toiletries. To Naomi, in the morning, I'll show you security footage of your apartment. You'll see that your daughter is safe. That's the best I can offer. It wasn't good enough, but it was all she had. The guest room was bigger than Naomi's entire apartment. King-sized bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Private bathroom with heated floors. A view of gardens lit by subtle landscape lighting. It was a prison dressed as luxury. Jung-ho left her there with a curt nod, locking the door from the outside. She heard his footsteps fade down the hallway. Naomi sat on the edge of the bed and let herself cry for exactly 3 minutes. Then she stopped, wiped her face, and started thinking like a survivor instead of a victim. She checked the windows. Locked, reinforced glass. Probably alarmed. The bathroom had no exterior access. The door was solid, definitely locked. Her phone was down to 1% battery and she had no charger. Even if she called for help, what would she say? She didn't know this address, didn't know these people, didn't have evidence of anything except her own terrible luck. Someone knocked. Naomi stood, straightening her scrubs, trying to look less like a kidnapping victim and more like someone in control. The door opened. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying an armful of clothes and a small bag of toiletries. She was Korean, elegant, with kind eyes that seemed out of place in this house of violence. I'm Mrs. Choi, she said in lightly accented English. I manage household staff. Mr. Kang asked me to bring you the necessities. She laid everything on the bed. Clothes should fit estimated sizes. If something is wrong, tell me tomorrow. Thank you, Naomi said automatically. Then, because she had nothing to lose. Do you know why I'm here? Mrs. Choi's expression didn't change, but her eyes flickered toward the door. I know Mr. Kang has his reasons. I know he is not cruel without cause. She moved toward the exit, then paused. Your daughter, the one with asthma. What medication does she use? Naomi's throat tightened. Albuterol inhaler, and she has a nebulizer for bad attacks. I'll make sure someone watching your apartment knows this, in case of emergency. Mrs. Choi's voice softened. I have grandchildren. I understand a mother's worry. Then she was gone, the door locking again behind her. Naomi changed into the clothes provided. Black pants, a soft sweater, everything fitting perfectly, which meant Kang Min-jun's people were very good at their jobs. She washed her face, brushed her teeth with the provided toothbrush, and tried not to think about how long she'd be using these supplies. Sleep should have been impossible, but her body, pushed past exhaustion by 16 hours of work and 2 hours of terror, shut down despite her racing mind. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Someone had entered while she slept, leaving a tray on the dresser. Coffee, fruit, toast, scrambled eggs. The lock had been opened and closed without waking her, which meant these people could do whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. The thought made her skin crawl. She was halfway through the coffee when the door opened again. This time it was Kang Min-jun himself, dressed in casual clothes that still looked expensive. Dark jeans, black sweater, No weapons visible, but she suspected that didn't mean he was unarmed. "Come with me," he said. Not a request. Never a request with him. Naomi followed him through hallways that felt like a maze, downstairs, past more security, into a room lined with monitors, security footage from what looked like dozens of locations. He pulled up one screen, expanded it. Her apartment building, another screen. Inside her apartment somehow, she could see her mother in the kitchen making breakfast, and there, at the table in her butterfly pajamas, was Zoe, eating cereal, looking okay, looking safe. "How do you have cameras inside my apartment?" Naomi's voice shook with anger and relief. "I don't. That's traffic camera footage and a neighbor's doorbell camera we accessed." He pointed to different angles. "But I have people watching from the street. If anything goes wrong, they'll respond faster than 911. It should have been comforting. It felt like surveillance. "She's okay," Naomi whispered, moving closer to the screen, wanting to touch her daughter through glass and pixels and impossible distance. "She's fine. Your mother told her you had to work a double shift. She accepted that." Naomi turned to face him. "How long do I have to stay here?" "Until I find who's trying to kill me." His voice was flat, stating facts. "I have 5 suspects within my inner circle. I'm interviewing each one separately, running background checks, tracking their communications. When I find the traitor, I eliminate them. Then you go home. Comment where you're from. I want to see this map light up with viewers. Quick, drop your location below, then let's continue. And if you don't find them, I will." The certainty in his voice was absolute. "I don't fail. I don't lose. I survive because I'm smarter and more ruthless than anyone who challenges me." He turned away from the monitors, facing her fully. "But while you're here, you're under my protection. No one will hurt you. No one will touch you. You have my word." The word of a criminal. His smile was sharp. The word of a man who keeps his promises. In my world, that's worth more than any law. They stood in the security room, 2 people from completely different universes, bound together by accident and circumstance. Naomi thought about pushing harder, demanding freedom, threatening to scream or fight or resist. But she was smart enough to know this man held all the power, and pushing someone like Kang Min-jun only got you killed. "I want to call my daughter tonight," she said instead. 5 minutes. You can listen to every word, but I need to hear her voice." He considered this for a long moment, then nodded once. 5 minutes, at 8 p.m. Any attempt to signal distress or reveal your location ends the call and ensures you never speak to her again. "Understood." "Good." He walked toward the door, paused. "My chef is preparing lunch. You'll eat with me. We have things to discuss." "Like what?" "Like how a nurse who stumbled into my car is going to help me find a traitor." Lunch was on a terrace overlooking gardens that looked like they required a full-time staff. The food was Korean, beautifully presented, and Naomi had no idea what half of it was called. Kang Min-jun ate in silence for several minutes while she picked at rice and tried to look less terrified than she felt. "You're observant," he said finally, not looking up from his plate. "Jung-ho told me. You memorized the route here, counted turns, noted landmarks. Survival instinct. Useful instinct." He set down his chopsticks. "I need someone with that instinct. Someone my people won't suspect. Someone who can watch and listen and notice things my trained security might miss. You want me to spy for you. I want you to do what you already do as a nurse. Observe. Read body language. Notice inconsistencies. People lie with their words, but their bodies tell the truth." His dark eyes fixed on her. "You've spent years reading patients, dealing with addicts who lie about their drug use, parents who lie about abuse, and teenagers who lie about suicide attempts. You know how to see through deception." He wasn't wrong. Nursing had taught her to trust her gut, to notice the small details that revealed bigger problems. But using those skills for a crime boss was a different kind of compromise. "And if I help you find your traitor, you let me go? Immediately, with compensation for your time, $50,000, and my guarantee that neither you nor your family will ever be bothered by my organization again." $50,000. That was Zoe's college fund. That was breathing room. That was security she'd never had. "And if I refuse, then you stay here until I find the traitor myself," which could take weeks, maybe longer. He leaned back in his chair. "Help me, Naomi Williams, and you go home to your daughter, a wealthy woman. Refuse, and you sit in that guest room wondering if Zoe is taking her inhaler, if your mother remembered to check her homework, if your life is falling apart while you're locked away." The choice was obvious. The choice was impossible. What would I have to do? Tonight, I'm having dinner with my 5 suspects, separately over the course of the evening. Each one thinks they're being promoted, rewarded for loyalty. His voice went cold. "You'll serve drinks, food, and play the role of temporary household staff. Watch them, listen to them. Tell me which one feels wrong." "You want me to wait for suspected killers?" "I want you to use your skills to help me survive, in exchange for your freedom and your daughter's security." He stood, walking to the edge of the terrace. "I didn't choose this life, Naomi. I inherited it when my father was murdered. I was 25 in business school, planning to be legitimate. Then he died, and I had 2 choices: take control or watch my family's empire burn. I chose survival." He turned back to her. "You chose survival too, working night shifts, raising a daughter alone, sacrificing everything for her future. We're not so different." "We're completely different. I save lives, you take them. I protect my people. I provide for families who have no other options. I create order in communities that police have abandoned." His jaw tightened. "The world isn't heroes and villains, Naomi. It's people making impossible choices in impossible circumstances." She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that morality was clear, that there was always a right choice. But she thought about the times she'd looked the other way, when undocumented patients lied about their addresses, the times she'd fudged charts to get medications approved, the gray areas she'd navigated to help people who fell through the cracks of a broken system. Maybe he was right. Maybe they weren't so different after all. "I'll do it," she said quietly. "I'll help you find your traitor, and then you let me go home." Deal. Subscribe if you believe people can find common ground in impossible situations. Only the closed-minded won't. The first suspect arrived at 6 p.m. Naomi, dressed in black pants and a simple white shirt, served tea in Kang Min-jun's study while he discussed business. The man, middle-aged and nervous, kept glancing at his phone. His hand shook slightly when he lifted his cup, but his nervousness felt genuine, like someone afraid of disappointing his boss rather than someone planning betrayal. The second suspect was younger, cocky, too comfortable. He joked, laughed too loud, touched things on the desk without permission, but his eyes kept returning to Kang Min-jun with something like worship, loyalty, not treachery. The third was a woman, sharp, efficient, cold. She barely acknowledged Naomi's presence but answered every question with precision. No tells, no cracks. Either innocent or the best liar Naomi had ever seen. The fourth was Young-ho, the driver who'd brought her here. He sat across from his boss, discussing routes and security protocols, and never once looked guilty. But there was something in his posture, a tension, a readiness to run or fight. The fifth never showed. At 9 p.m., Kang Min-jun's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression going from neutral to dangerous in seconds. He spoke in Korean, his voice sharp as broken glass. When he ended the call, he looked at Naomi. "The fifth suspect is dead. Car accident 20 minutes ago on the highway." His eyes were empty, calculating. "Very convenient timing. You think someone warned him?" "I think someone killed him before he could talk." He stood, began pacing. "Which means the traitor is one of the 4 who came here tonight, and they're smart enough to clean up loose ends." Naomi thought about the 4 people she'd watched, thought about tells and body language and years of reading patience. "Jung-ho," she said quietly, "your driver, he was tense, ready to run, and he's the one who made the mistake of picking me up." Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Kang Min-jun stopped pacing. "Explain. What if he was told to pick up someone else? Someone connected to your enemies? And when I got in the car instead, he improvised, brought me here to buy time while he figured out what to do." Her heart pounded. "He's been loyal forever, right? That's why you trust him. That's the perfect cover for betrayal. You're accusing my oldest friend of treason based on tension? I'm telling you what I observed. You asked me to watch, to notice. I noticed Jung-ho." The silence stretched between them, heavy with consequence. Then Kang Min-jun walked to his desk, pressed a button. "Bring Jung-ho to me, now." 5 minutes later, Jung-ho entered. Before he could speak, 2 guards grabbed him, forced him to his knees. He looked shocked, betrayed, terrified. "Your phone," Kang Min-jun said coldly. "Unlock it." "Boss, I don't understand." "Unlock it or I'll have your fingers broken one by one until you do." Jung-ho's hands shook as he unlocked the phone and handed it over. Kang Min-jun scrolled through messages, his expression darkening with each second. Then he held up the screen, showing a text thread. Instructions, meeting times, details about routes and schedules. Everything needed to plan an assassination. "How long, Kanga?" Min-jun's voice was barely above a whisper, more dangerous than any shout. 3 months. They have my sister. They said they'd kill her if I didn't." The gunshot was deafening in the closed space. Jung-ho's body crumpled, blood spreading across expensive carpet. Naomi screamed, stumbling backward, her ears ringing. She'd seen death before, in hospitals, expected, clinical. Not like this, not execution style in a mansion study. Kang Min-jun lowered the gun, his expression empty. "Clean this up," he told the guards. Then to Naomi, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Go to your room. We'll talk in the morning." She ran, down hallways, upstairs, into the guest room where she collapsed against the locked door and sobbed until she couldn't breathe. She'd just helped kill a man. Final part coming up. Comment finale if you're still with me. Only quitters won't. The next morning, Mrs. Choi brought breakfast and news that Naomi was free to go. A car was waiting. Her phone had been replaced with a new one, fully charged, and a bank transfer of $50,000 had been deposited into her account. Kang Min-jun waited in the foyer. He looked tired, older somehow. Jung-ho's sister is being relocated to a safe house, protected. She didn't choose his betrayal. He handed Naomi a business card. "My private number, if you ever need anything. Protection, money, help of any kind. Call me." "I never want to see you again," Naomi whispered. "I know." Something sad flickered across his face. "But the world is dangerous, Naomi Williams, and now you know someone who can make it less so. For you, for Zoe." He opened the door. "Go home to your daughter." The drive back to Chicago took 2 hours. Naomi sat in silence, watching the city appear on the horizon, trying to reconcile what had happened with who she was. She'd helped execute a man. She'd taken blood money. She'd crossed lines she'd never imagined crossing. But when she walked into her apartment and Zoe ran into her arms, crying, "Mommy," and holding on like she'd never let go, Naomi knew she'd do it all again. Every choice, every compromise, every impossible decision, because survival wasn't about staying clean. It was about staying alive and keeping the people you loved alive, too. 3 weeks later, Naomi was working a night shift when a code blue came through. She ran to the ER and froze. The patient on the gurney, bleeding from a knife wound, was one of Kang Min-jun's guards from the mansion. He recognized her. "Please," he gasped, "they're coming for him tonight. The Bususan family, they know where he lives. You have to warn him." Naomi's hands moved automatically, assessing his wounds, calling for supplies. But her mind raced. She could pretend she didn't hear him, could let Kang Min-jun face whatever was coming, could walk away from that world forever. Or she could make one phone call. She thought about Zoe's college fund, about owing debts to dangerous men, about the fact that Kang Min-jun had kept his word about everything. During her break, she dialed the number on the business card she'd kept, despite throwing it away 3 times. He answered on the first ring. "Naomi, your guard is in my ER. He says the Bususan family is coming for you tonight. He says they know where you live." Silence. Then, "Thank you. Don't thank me. We're even now. Don't ever contact me again." "Understood." A pause. "For what it's worth, you saved my life." "Again?" "For what it's worth, I hope you survive. But I hope I never see you again." She hung up, went back to work, saved 3 more lives that night, including the guards, and when she got home the next morning, there was a package waiting. Inside, a college acceptance letter for Zoe to a private school, full scholarship, and a note in elegant handwriting for Zoe's future. No strings, no debts, just gratitude. KMJ. Naomi burned the note, kept the scholarship, and tried not to think about the fact that the most dangerous man she'd ever met was also the one who'd secured her daughter's dreams. Some mistakes, she realized, don't have clean endings. They have complicated ones, gray ones, the kind where you survive but carry the weight forever, and somehow you learn to live with it. The end. If you believe survival requires impossible choices, drop a comment saying, "Survivor. Only the judgmental won't." Want more stories like this? Hit subscribe. Part 2 could explore what happens when Kang Min-jun's enemies come for Naomi next, or when Zoe discovers the truth about her scholarship, or when Naomi gets pulled into his world again. Comment Part 2 if you want to see what happens next. Only people who don't love epic stories won't engage.